Earthlings, hippies, Earthlings, whoever you are, wherever I'm lucky enough to be doing it to you and you're lucky enough to be doing it to me, we're all doing it together to each other. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Wonderful to have you with me here today. This is a Patreon-sponsored post. God bless you, you sponsoring humans who are keeping me afloat and making my wife not divorce me for spending half my life putting out World of Tanks Blitz videos. Today we're going to talk about a subject that's very near and dear to my heart, the concept of brawling tanks in a medium. And it's something that I think is oft overlooked. People jump in a T62A or an Object 140 and they just start burning rubber and trying to circle of death everything. And they just drag down the averages for the tanks because they're generally fragile tanks. And circle of deathing is not really that much of an art form. I mean, if the tank's fast enough and their tank's slow enough, you can go around them in a circle and that's great. That's a winner. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. And by circle of deathing, I'm just saying there's a big fat tank in the middle of a field and you're going to drive it around it really quickly in another tank. I'm going to talk about three different things. I'm going to talk about how you can do a few things when you're brawling in a medium versus, say, a heavy or another medium, and they'll greatly increase your chances of winning the encounter. I'm going to talk about getting a little bit creative and always using what's available and what's around you, and the concept that it's not always about winning, it's about putting the most damage in sometimes before you get taken out. And thirdly, I want to talk about a couple of key things that the tanks that are being brawled or circled or however you want to say it do wrong, often do wrong, and you could well be doing them wrong yourself. Now, I want to talk about, firstly, one of the tips for when you're brawling. Now, I'm using an STB-1 here because I didn't want to use the Object or the 62A or any of those kind of tanks. I wanted to use kind of a middle-of-the-road medium. I love the STB. You can see Stealth 251 there is in the 62A. I'm going to do a little thing called squaring or side hugging, and I call it squaring because obviously you go around in a square or a rectangle, really. And it serves a couple of purposes. If you've got a turreted tank and you're turning the tank as well as traversing the turret, that means that you'll quite often be going so much faster than you would if you were just doing a turret traverse. It stands to reason, and that's why people will often shoot the tracks of enemy tanks to stop them so that they can go around them a lot easier. Makes sense. If you square like this, you seriously negate the amount of traverse a tank can achieve with its actual chassis. And you can see here, he's going to get to me with the gun just about, and I start turning up along his right-hand side, and it drastically stops his traverse, and he bounces one off my ass or just misses my bum. That's really important. And the other thing it can do when you go along tanks like this that you think are going to be able to be smart enough and quick enough to actually traverse enough so that you can't just circle of death, if they're tall tanks like an E100, for instance, which I'll show you in the next clip, they will quite often struggle to fire down. It's called side hugging. Now, I've just taken out a 62A and I've got to take out this E100. So what I'm going to do is, I'm side hugging and I'm just limiting his traverse, but then I jink and I go one way. Now you see there, do you see how he shot? It looks like he's an idiot and he's shot behind me and he's doing it all wrong. It's not so simple. This is one of the keys that heavy tank drivers and other drivers in other mediums often make this mistake. They zoom in. Now, I'll guarantee you this guy is having trouble shooting me because I'm so close to his side and he's having trouble traversing and getting the gun depression down enough. And as soon as he gets it down enough, my turret's pretty bouncy as well, so he's going to have a struggle to actually fire directly through it. So I pull back and he's zoomed in. Remember, guys, that's the key. He is zoomed in. As I pull back and I turn right in front of him, I limit his ability to traverse the tank. And he's so big and heavy, he's going to traverse anyway. But he's also moving me with him as he traverses. And then I'm going to take off back in the opposite direction to his gun. And he is still zoomed in. Now, do you get why that's important? Because he's going to fire behind me. And there's a reason for that. It's because the traverse on his turret is quite slow. And the traverse on his turret is so slow that the actual retina, the reticle, is going to show over the top of my tank. So you see where the Centurion is there. You can see that white part. That's where his reticle is. But the red part is where the actual gun is pointing. So he's zoomed in, and he's zoomed in with the reticle directly over the top of my tank. And when he gets it to a point where he thinks that he can fire and release a shell and it's going to smash me, his gun is still lagging just behind that. And that little bit of lag lets me miss the shot. If he wasn't zoomed in, he'd see exactly where the gun was pointing and he wouldn't make that mistake. And it's one of the reasons why, unless I absolutely have to in a brawl, I don't always zoom in. Now, that can cost you shots, it can cost you bounces, but it's a lot better of a tactic as a defensive tactic when someone's trying to circle you. You want to get used to making allowances for that. So you aim a little bit further ahead and release it, and then you'll hit him in the arse. And that's really important. It's something that happened there, and you saw as soon as it happened, I knew I had him because I had the ability to fire 2 shots before he did. And I also reversed direction. Now, you want to be a bit creative too when you're out and about. This first move is pretty straightforward. This is against a non-turreted tank destroyer. I'm going to try and track him at range. I hit the track, but I don't actually get it tracked. So then I'm going to turn to the right, and he's zoomed in. He's going to be looking to the right, and I'm going to quickly jink back left, and he's already passed. Now, brawling is not just about CODing and getting behind the arse of a non-turreted TD so they can't shoot you. I mean, that is 101. It's also about thinking on your feet. Now, there's 4 enemy tanks and 1 of me. There's an E50 coming in. I know that if I don't stay in front of this object 268, he won't be able to hit me. But I know if I sit still and take the time, not only will he hit me, he'll kill me. So I'm moving right past. I've ignored him as a target, and I'm going to hit the next target. And you can see there's tanks coming from all over now. I'm screwed. All I'm aiming to do here is actually put as much physical damage as I can into the enemy team before I go. And I also like using situations like this that appear hopeless, as they're really good situations to practice and get creative and force yourself to be creative with. So you can see around here, I've switched to heat because I obviously want to kill that A50. He's on a reload. I've got him beaten on the reload, and bang, Bob's your uncle. But there's an E75 coming. Now, up there, he is zoomed in and he can hit me, but he's missed that shot. If I wait for him to move forward, when he gets to the bottom of that hill, as you'll see here, I see an opportunity. As he comes down the bottom, he is going to be bouncing and moving. His dispersion is going to be massive, and his aiming retina, aiming retina, is going to be as big as it possibly can be. So I can sneak out, take a shot, pull back, and he won't hit me. Unluckily for me, the dispersion wrecks me and it doesn't go through. But that's the thought process behind it. Now I'm looking at a situation where there's a tier 9 heavy, a tier 10 TD. I don't have a lot of hit points left, and I just want to do my best to get another shot in. So what I'm going to do is, at all costs, eliminate the 268 from killing me. All I'm worried about now is minimizing and maximizing. The maximum chance I have to do damage is on this E75. The person I most don't want to get hit by is the 268. And so I'm going to blow my engine boost, and I'm going to go around behind the next rock and trade distance for damage, which is what you do when you're desperate and you're trying to get out of a no-win situation. And I get another shot in. Now, it doesn't go through, but I get another shot in. So I've pushed right down, and I'm going to get another shot. Now I'm going to die here. That's not what this is about. What I'm trying to show you is that you can trade distance for damage. You can use everything that's around you. You can totally be creative when you're brawling and when you're trying to find ways to make damage. And if you just sit there and sit still, I guarantee you someone will move to a weak point and kill you. Now, my last hope, what I was trying to do here was actually hit his track. So I could track him and stop him and stall him there and then maybe get another shot in. But we missed that shot still. From a situation where we had a whole lot of tanks and we had 200 meters to an object 268 to actually killing one E50, getting 2 shots in on him and getting 2 shots in on an E75. If you can then do that when there's 4 tanks and you on one team and your mates are on the other side and you can hold an area, and it's good practice and it's good thought processes. Now, brawling here, oh good God. I thought Stealth 251, my platoon mate, was with me. I wasn't paying attention, so I poke out and decide I'm going to brawl both tanks at once. This is really, if you take one thing away from this whole video, and this is by no means, like, this video could be an hour long showing different examples of things. This brawl is absolutely got some absolute surefire winners in it. That is one thing. That is the stopping short and reversing is an absolute winner. The other one is when you're in trouble and there's two tanks, try and line them up together so that they have to shoot through each other and they can't. Never stop moving. Never stop moving. And don't zoom in during the brawl, because that T62A just did. Now the final thing, which is the absolute must-have, the simplest way to brawl, the simplest one rule that you can always have in brawling is stay behind the enemy's turret wherever available. Now I'm going to break this down now, this one little section here, and then we're going to finish the video and we can all go away and say happy days, we're all the better for it. The 62A I've hit once, I've got good gun depression, he doesn't, so I'm trying to use this little area here to actually get some damage in before we join up properly and go mano a mano. The IS-8 is right into me. And I think it's an STA-1 or a Type 61, I'm not sure, one of the two. I think it's a Japanese medium. He bails on me and leaves the IS-8 more or less alone. But he does come in and get a very key tracking for me. Now, if I'm now stuck between two, I've got to take out the greater of two evils. And that's something you should always do. You want to take out the most important tank, which is obviously the 62A. He's got the much higher DPM. So he's the one I want to take out. Now, stopping. As he's zoomed in and he is turning his tank, you stop and you pull back. And if you get used to doing it and you time it right, you will actually have so many occasions, like with that E100, like with the 62A, where you stop and their turret keeps traversing and they fire where you were or where you would have been. And now I know this IS-8's coming for me. I don't have any choice. I haven't managed to kill the T62 before then. And I'm trying to get the 62A between me and the IS-8, which we do in the next little instance. And you can see I'm just trying to block his track and push him because I'm a bigger, heavier tank. And there we go. We're now using the 62A as cover from the IS-8, if only for a brief instance, but it ruins them. It absolutely stuffs the 62A's aim up. He's probably still zoomed in and he panics and fires. And that's all well and good because we take advantage of that and we now get to kill him. You note, once we've started brawling properly, I have yet to zoom in. The IS-8 gets a shot into the track. I'm angled slightly to him. I'm not angled at all to the 62A because he's already fired and I don't have to worry about that. Now here's the key part. See where his gun is. All you've got to worry about when you're brawling a heavy is attempting at all times to not be where their gun is. And that's that STA finally gets in and joins in the show and he hits the IS-8 in the track. Just that one simple rule. Be at the opposite end of the pointy bit. Forget about where his chassis's going. Forget about everything else. Just make sure at all times, as much as possible, you are on the opposite side to his gun. If you do that, and you can see straight away, I'm side hugging, I'm squaring him up, I'm stopping him from traversing, I'm reversing around, and I've not given him a single shot at me since I finished that 62A off. They're really simple things, guys. Side hug. Stay away from the gun. Don't zoom in when you're brawling all the time. I mean, sometimes you'll break the rules because you have to break the rules and you'll learn when that time is as you progress through. But for God's sakes, if you're zoomed in a heavy and you're tracking a super quick medium or light across your screen and you fire the gun, do not be surprised when your 23 degrees per second of turret traverse is not actually keeping up with your reticle and the bloody tank that's going around you at like 60 degrees of traverse a second. So those are the simple tips. I'll break this down. If I get enough joy from this video and people actually like it, I'll do some more stuff on brawling because it is really involved and it's a thing that's really close to my heart. I absolutely love brawling tanks. I think it's the most fun thing in the game. Dancing around in a medium in Blitz while you use guile, cunning, and creativity to basically flummox massive hit point advantage tanks with big armor profiles is where it's at. It's like hunting for the great white whale and you're going for Moby Dick. It's not a Hemingway play, I guess, but I love it anyway. I'm Bushka on Blitz. I hope that's been helpful for you guys. Onwards and upwards, humans, and make sure you stay safe on the battlefield.